how we can. Rotating. So baby, we say, you got a mind to refresh, it's how we can. It's how we can. Rotating. So baby, reset. You got a mind to refresh, yeah. Baby girl, kende zamanyi ojja kumenya omutima. Eyo supidi nyingi gy'onvuga, bigambo bingi bw'obisengeka. Eno wiki ya makungula, eyo supidi gy'oliko, nange vibe gye ndimu. Ongwira ontomeze mu mukwano, kuba it's a weekend. Rotate. It's a weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah. Baby, baby girl, kende zamani. Ongwiro ntomeze mukwano kuba it's a weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah. Weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah. People elevate, people concentrate, yeah, and forget the past, yeah. So baby, no, I am scared of a heartbreak. People elevate, people concentrate, and forget the past, yeah. Kuba it's a weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah. Weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah. Baby girl, kende zamani, oja kumenya omutima. Kachedi kenzo yoyo bigi dada, iya ino Luganda koyo Mandela, yako ebintu byamazikizaga. Eno vibe tekuli masada, abagala okunywa temumpona, azino bulungi yafuna. Kuba it's a weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah. Weekend, rotating. So baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, President Ivan. Good morning, David. Good
Yes,
morning,
good morning,
Vivian.
Matthew.
Good morning, Sharon.
Good
Thanks for
morning,
making it on time. As we just hold on a little bit for about a few more of our guests and a few more of our participants to come in, we could drop introductions in the chat box. We could give them about 5 minutes, so maybe at about 10 past 10 we could start. Whoever will be in here, we can go on then. President Ivan, are you there? Vivian, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, Ivan. Good morning. How are
Morning,
you, sir?
how are you?
So good to see you. We are to be starting in about 5 minutes. Let's just hold on for a few more people just to have a little bit of quorum.
Okay.
Daudi, you could maybe, I request that everyone, you can put your full name. And if you're a Rotaractor or Rotarian, you can put your Rotaract club, your Rotary club. If you're from the public-private sector, you could just indicate maybe an abbreviation of your enterprise or your entity that you can just put maybe you're from, for example, PSFU, Private Sector Foundation of Uganda, you just put PSFU. That could be very easy to identify each other. Wendy, thanks for coming in. I can see you. And I'm going to ask you to co-host.
Martin.
Yes, Winnie.
You're welcome, but
your network is a bit shaky, but I hope it will get better.
Having another
you can
event,
hear me
we have
clearly.
a press event at office. Preparing for a press event.
Okay, I understand. Sharon, I can see you're connected, but you are not enabled on audio. I wonder if you can hear us. Sharon? You could leave and then rejoin so that your audio can be configured. I can see you have video, but you don't have audio. So thank you everyone who is so far here on time. President Ivan, do we have the projects director online, Mr. Tony Luyombia? And the projects team, it would be very interesting to have them on. This being a club training, ladies and gentlemen,
let me try to access him.
Sorry, Ivan?
Let me try to access him.
Yes, please ask him to come on because the training is targeted majorly to the club project team. So we had agreed to start at 10:10 and it's around the time. So would like to set off in respect for everyone else's time who has been here on time.
Okay.
Vivian, if you could be able to assist to man the chat box and to do some registrations, I request that we can all drop our full name. If you're a Rotarian or Rotaractor, you can drop your club name. And if you're from the public friends and associates of the Rotary Club of Seeta, you can drop your company name or enterprise name. Feel free to tell us about your entity. You can drop a small brief, maybe under contact in the chat box as part of registration so that we can get to know each other. Ivan, do we have Tony at least quorum of the club and we can start? Okay, Mr. Kalema Ivan, please try to get Masagazi back, and Winnie, I hope you're there and you fully can be able to hear us so that we can start. It's been 15 minutes so far. Okay, so with 1 minute to 10:15, I believe we've waited long enough. I'll request that we start. Good morning, everyone. Feel free to drop in the chat your brief name, maybe organization. You can tell us about yourself or your business. And so I welcome you to this session. This is a session organized by the Rotaract Club of Seeta. We dub the club the CEOs. We would like to inspire that in all our members and our friends that starting a business and an enterprise should be a natural thing. So we should all at one time of our lives be CEOs. Not the glorified title, but a CEO in your life. A CEO is a leader. CEO is an innovator. And most importantly, a CEO is a problem solver. So we implore that we are all at one moment CEOs. On the call, I have a number of my club members. I have my president, Ivan Masagazi. I have our club admin, that's Nafula Winfred, membership director, Nafula Winfred. We have our treasurer, Miss Vivian Naluvega. And we have a number of other associates and friends attending. So this session is intended to have a training, an in-house training, but we felt it, since we are here to serve and change lives as Rotary, as Rotaract, we hoped it can be a public event so that our friends and associates can all benefit from this. It's not going to be an exhaustive training, for example, covering 100% of project proposal writing and concepts, but we are trying to cover the basics that can get our project team started on putting together the ideas as a club. So, and given the limitation of time, because we're envisioning to run this for exactly 1 hour, perhaps since we've lost 15 minutes, we could push it to about 11:30. I hope that is okay with everyone. And so, yeah, we hope to have the best and to benefit from this information. My name is Lubwama Martin. I will be taking you through the session. I'm the club professional and leadership development director for the Rotaract Club of Seeta. We are proudly mothered by the Rotary Club of Seeta. Hopefully some of our Rotarians will join us along the way. So this session is meant to take us through a very, very basic skill and a very necessary skill that everyone in the current development world should be very interested in. This is supposed to be a skill that enables us to ensure we can effectively communicate our ideas to the intended partners, to the intended audience and target markets, all in one. So this session will enable us gain the basic skills to write these ideas. So on this flyer that is before you, of course it will transition into the later information, the PPT that we have. We have the term project concepts and project proposal. So to start with, we have to get clarity on what are these two things. What is a concept and how different is it from a project proposal? So these are items that we encounter in our daily lives, but we may not know that we're actually doing that. First of all, when you hear of the term a proposal, to me, at first I heard about it was all about getting down on one knee and offering a diamond ring to your pretty queen somewhere, and people blow balloons and champagne. And that was a proposal to me. And I think most of us have also known it that way before. And then when I got a bit further in my development career, I realized there are things called projects, which are time-bound initiatives that have a particular objective to achieve. But to develop these, we start with putting them down on paper, putting the idea, the objectives and everything. And then I realized that is what a project proposal is in the development world. So just to explore, we can take, for example, a concept note. A concept note is a summary of an idea and of would be a proposal that you want to interest your partners, excuse me, your partners, to interest the members of a certain community that you would like to engage in an idea. And we write these for various reasons. So this is a small brief that we put together to inform the intended audience of our intention, our idea, of the objective of the idea. And it can be in response to a formal request, or it can just be something we put out to inform a target audience. So the aims and objectives of our concept would be to inform, to summarize the idea, to simulate the requirements that would be needed to take on an idea, maybe to showcase the intention and direction of an initiative, and to explore any imagination of the idea. Because projects are more of imaginations at the start. So as we imagine, we need to record and document our imagination very well so that we can be very clear on what we want to achieve and how we are going to achieve it. So a concept note is brief and it has, I would say, outlined contents that you would expect to be there. So the name of the organization, the title of the proposed project, potential donor or potential partner or potential affiliate that you're targeting, the context of the idea and of what you're proposing. Ideally, it shouldn't be more than 300 words. So this is just the standard, but it depends on the circumstances. The rationale for the proposed project or the proposed idea. Rationale is more of why does it come from? It's a flow from the context. Then, of course, the goals and objectives. What are we trying to aim at? Then the strategy. How are we hoping to make this relevant and to make sure this is going to work? What is our strategy? How are we going to implement? Then we go on to expected results. How are we going to implement? Innovation, how different is it from other earlier or any other presented ideas? Then we go on to understanding the organizational background, because that's when you've tabled the idea. Now tell us about your organization. This is a two-way thing. Usually, sometimes the organizational background can be put as part of the context, because you want someone to understand why your organization is even interested in the first place in doing this. Why are you interested? Are you related to this initiative in any way? Does it speak to your goals and objectives in any way? Then we go on to organizational background, experience. That's where you put in how well placed are you to take this venture on? Why would it be you amongst all the organizations that would be able and capacity built to take on this initiative? Then we would look at the budget estimates. So the budget estimates is a sensitive part where you have to make sure we are convinced that what you're giving us in terms of the costs involved, the resources that shall be needed, how do they speak to the idea and how realistic are they? We're going to explore more of this when we get to doing the actual budget templates. Then we can go on and look at contact information of the organization, along with contact report, to make sure that when the intended audience receives this document, they can be able to reach out again and get back to you, maybe make some clarifications, anything like that. So now that we've known a little bit of what you are working with, what's the concept? The next question would be, so now we know of a concept. What is a project proposal? And how different is it from the earlier explored concept? So a project proposal is it's more of a detailed document. It's the document you start with when you've thought out an idea that you want to present and you want to communicate and you want to win support on. So this is a document that is used to define the internal, external project. The proposal includes sections that are like the title, the start, the dates, requirements. These are almost similar to the concept, but they are more detailed. So we shall find out that the objectives of the project proposal are quite, I would say, a bit more explained or more strategic than just the concept. So here we showcase the full idea as the objective. We communicate the vision and direction of the project. Direction is a wide word because that's where you tell us where you want to see this in 5, 10 years, not just what the idea is all about as you did in the concept. Here you tell us, what do you see this project is, maybe in the period that you've simulated this period, this project should go for, maybe 5 or 10 years. Then, am I still audible? You may just give it a thumbs up, or you can unmute and say yes, so we can also get the pleasure of hearing your voice.
Yes. Yes, Martin.
Yes, you
Great.
are.
Yes, you're audible.
So we also look at the objective of sourcing for funding or support, as we had said earlier, attracting potential partners, communicating a new product. Of course, if we're developing products, it's very important that we come up with a way to communicate these ideas before time. So when we look at the project proposal and concepts, when are they necessary? These documents are very important at various steps. It may not be right at the moment you think, okay, right now, maybe when do you know that I need to write a concept, I need to write a proposal? So most often we see, you'll allow me to share my multiple screens. I'll try to show you different things that I've come across that may not be part of this presentation, but to show them to you. You would come across different items such as request for proposal that is issued by an organization, by a funding entity, by a development partner, and they're looking to find credible, maybe ideas that can be funded or that can be scaled up. So I want to share with you a document here that I ran across from for example, UNDP. Let me switch my screen to this just for a minute. You can be able to see this. So are you able to see that? So this was an open call from the UNDP, the United Nations Development Program in Uganda. And it is requesting for, did I bring it closer to you? Yes, I hope you can see that there. So this is requesting for different entities or individuals who are creative and can be able to submit proposals. Proposals of an idea of what they are going to do, of how they are going to do it. And they're looking at multiple fields: content distribution, books and press, audiovisual, performing arts and distribution, design and crafts. These are all different areas. And in the project, in the call, there are various areas such as the terms of reference and the instruction to the responders. So this is where you understand, okay, now I need to write a project proposal because this is more detailed. Yep. And this is where we now know, okay, I need to write. Now, when we go back to responding to a request for ideas, same thing with this particular call for proposal that I just showed you. Then there are those innovation challenges. For example, there was one that was issued again by UNDP. I'll rely on UNDP since I believe the information is public information and no one will come after me when I share it. So allow me also show you this. This was a call for proposals, an open innovation challenge call, still from the UNDP together with the Stanbic Business Incubator and the Youth for Business program. So this was calling for ideas, and this is an idea call. You explain your ideas. Some of them, they don't have to have existed already, but you can present them. So in this call, they go on to give you what are the components of this document. And then when you go down later on in the document, they show you the different, let me show you like formats. We're also going to cover this. So they are going to look at contents of the proposal, section of proposal, clarification of proposals. This is more of explanations. to enable you understand. So the call documents are usually big documents. For example, if you take a look at this document, it's a 20-page document, and it details for you each and every step of the development process and how you're supposed to handle this call. So then we go on to pitch fest. It's one of the areas where we understand that a pitch fest is more of a asking you to come and give us your idea. There has been an ongoing pitch fest at the Innovation Village and the Hive Collab, where different innovators and idea people come in and explain their idea, how it's going to work, and how much money will be made from it. Yeah. So then we go on to an ideathon. An ideathon is more of a fancy word for a call for ideas or a battle for innovations. So, and then a hackathon, this is a term used more into the ICT realm, where innovators come up with applications and softwares, and they spend time to explain them and test them and strain them. This is also where you will need to put down your idea in a proper way. So now that we've explored the different areas that would call us to present our idea, how do you go through the process of preparing your proposal? So preparing the proposal can take very many, should I call them, steps, because you do not have a one-size-fits-all. For example, if you get a call for innovation, such as that one from the UNDP, and you get one from a development partner such as GIZ, there'll be different terms, different formats of the proposal, but you can always have what you call as a standard. Yes, development associated linkages. My friends are asking if they can record. Well, this meeting is being recorded. I'm going to share the recording after here. The reason why I've limited the recordings because there have been quite a number of Zoom hacks of recent, and when you unlimit very many options, the ill-intentioned population out there might come in and disorganize our session. So I will share this recording after. Now, if I were to go back to the idea formulation, to the steps in developing a proposal. So the first step is idea formulation. Idea formulation, can you still hear me? You can just put up a hand, or you can just unmute and say, right. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Martin, you are.
Okay, great. We can proceed. So going through the steps very fast, I can see our time is also fast spent. We have to look through our idea formulation first. What is your idea? For example, what are you exactly going to do? How does it speak to the organization that you're going to put it under? For example, the organization that's going to front the idea. In most cases, we write proposals as organizations. In sometimes we write as individuals, for example, an individual consultant or something like that. But in most cases, it's as an individual. Sorry, as an organization. What happens after the idea formulation, rather during the idea formulation, is you put down what you want to do. How do you want to do it? You put it all in there, a bit jumbled, but we're going to reach a point where you have to segregate the information into different areas. Then once you know what you want to do, and perhaps a little bit of how, where you want it to head, we'll go on to objective setting. Of course, this you get to understand after you've set out the idea that, okay, now I want to do that, but what is the objective exactly? I want to set up I want to create a zebra crossing at a certain junction. For example, the Rotaract Club of Seeta has an ongoing idea we're building to put up zebra crossing areas at different junctions in our community. So we have the idea. It's a nice idea, but what is the objective? What are we aiming to achieve through this idea? So then we go on and say, okay, we want to improve the road safety. We'd like to help the children in the area to cross the road safely. We would like to help the elderly who cannot run across the road just like that to have a safe place to cross from. Now, the idea and the objective are speaking to each other. Now, now we see that, okay, the objectives have been set. How you set the objectives is they should be very specific according to your project. You should know at least there are 5 items I want to set and they are measurable. Quantitative measurement of the objective. You want to help the elderly. Have you done a little bit of a survey? How many old people are in your area? Have you done a little bit of a search? How many schools in your area and how many children are in that area? So you can put this that in our area, we shall be able to reach and assist 300 school-going children between the age of 9 and maybe 13 who are crossing this road every day from these particular schools across the road. So you have a clear objective and you simulate all others in that kind of format. Then you set an idea context or the formulation. So the context is now going to be informed by the objective. That is where the research comes in. Of course, these steps are intertwining. As you go on to the next, as you complete one, you're going into the next, you know? So when you're doing your research of who is around, which schools, which elderly people, you're building your context. So now you know the elderly people in the area, you know the differently able people in the area, you know the school-going people in the area. Now you can say, okay, let me be able to build this. It will be useful. It is justifiable, you know. So we go on to evaluate the problem. Of course, the problem is at the back of your mind through this whole time, yeah. But you can go on to build it further here. So you create what we call a problem statement. So a problem statement is what exactly should be more of the origin of your desire to implement this idea. The problem statement should be a need or still a problem, I'll call it a challenge in the community or in the organization that you are targeting to solve. That's why I say that as the Rotaract Club of Seeta, we call ourselves the CEOs, not because we wanted the fancy title of CEO, but this comes from the background that CEOs are problem solvers. So this is where you exercise the mandate to solve a problem. So you're going to solve a problem of maybe there's no gazetted road safety mandate in your region or in your area, and you'd like to take on not waiting for the police or the government. You want to take it upon yourself to solve this problem and make the roads safer by putting in zebra crossing areas. So now we have the problem statement. So you go on and use the context and say, on a day-to-day basis, 300 children cross through the roads. There is no zebra crossing anywhere. You identify the risks involved, that they could be knocked by border borders, they could be knocked by cars, and you state exactly if you have been able to identify any unfortunate eventful times where children have been knocked or they have failed to cross, or accidents have happened because of a road which is not clearly marked for pedestrians that are crossing. You have to note these events. If you have photos, you could include them somewhere. Then we go on to the solution that you're presenting and evaluation of this solution. So This is where you get to pour down your matter. It's called pouring matter, pour data. Tell us what you want to do and how you want to do it, and exactly how is it going to solve that problem you've identified up there. You've clearly told us there's a problem. So how are you going to solve it? And how practical is your solution? So tell us vividly, paint a very good picture of what you're going to do and how it's going to solve the children from being knocked, from pedestrians being knocked, the elderly, how are they going to be helped, all these. So of course, telling us about this is not going to be in one paragraph. Then it goes down to the next step of developing a log frame or a logical framework. Yeah. Later on in the presentation, let me try to maybe, I'll do it concurrently. Let me go there and show it to you. So a logical framework is a planning tool that has a matrix that shows you the overview of the project goal, activities, anticipated results, and it provides the structure to specify components of the project and its activities. So when you look at this, it makes sense that you need to communicate your intention, your solution through a certain system, which is now the log frame. So as you communicate, I want to show you a sample of a log frame. I want to show you a sample of a log frame so that we can relate efficiently. Let me share my screen. All information shared is, I would say, copyrighted. So please be mindful of how you utilize it when you get your hands on it. So let me share with you this. I hope you can be able now to see that table. If you can't, you may put up your hand. Yes. So we have the intervention logic, the indicators, the baseline, the target, the means and sources of verification, and assumptions. There could be various other formats of a log frame, but the minimum, it should have what your intervention logic is, or what I would call the intervention logic is more of your objective or your rationale. So here we have the objective of increasing economic self-reliance of refugees and host populations. Then we go on and look at the indicators. How shall we know that actually we are making progress on this project? Yeah. Then you go on and see the targets. The baseline, I think at some it may not be relevant to all sorts of projects. So let's go with the targets. So how shall we know and how are we going to measure our contribution to solving the problem? You look at the targets that you will want to have achieved. Here we say we want to have, for example, the first objective, increasing economic self-reliance of refugees and host populations. We want to see instant trainees, 1,200, then work-based trainees. Then we want to see that 70% of these are going to be women, 50% should definitely be refugees, and 100% of these should be youth. Then the means of benefit means and sources of verification. This is the proof that actually the targets were hit. You don't just say we trained and we train, or we are going to train, or we shall train so many. You have to be particular and specific. So assessment of beneficiaries' income at baseline and tracer studies conducted 6 months after the graduation. So in this case, they assume that they'll do a tracer study of the incomes of all these trainees whom they'll keep an eye on 6 months down the road after the training. So it depends on the tense you're using. When you're writing the proposal, you're writing for the future. So you're saying we shall be able to do a tracer study and keep an eye on all these trainees that we've had, or keep an eye on this community where we've painted the zebra crossings, and take statistics of road accidents or pedestrians or children being knocked down, so that you can ably prove that your project is actually delivering value. Yeah. So the log frame is quite a lengthy document. We can have an arrangement. Of course, this is a club training where I'm taking my members and of course the general public and friends in what is involved. But as I told you earlier, it's not an exhaustive training because of the time limit, but we can always arrange, you reach out and we can always arrange sessions to go through these tools together. So let's switch back to our steps in the formulation. So then we create a work plan. After the logical framework, we've identified that, okay, we shall be able to work and we shall be able to ably implement these ideas. So what is guiding us? How are we going to work? How are we going to, oh, sorry, something is blocking your view. How are we going to know where to go at what time and how to, okay, this is something I wanted to show you. So how are we going to know where to go and at what time and what resources are needed? So there is a document that's called a Gantt chart. Let me try to look for something here. So a Gantt chart, or rather a flow of activities and items that you're going to do at particular times. I wonder why my screen is sharing with you that. Let me try to. I'm trying to get as practical as we can get so that I can get maximum value from this precious 1 hour. So as we look at I'm trying to find for you this Gantt chart so I can share it with you and you can have a look at what it would look like. Okay. Audible enough? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can do hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can do hear you properly.
Are you still able to hear me properly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear.
Martin, go on.
Okay, let me know if you can hear me now. I'm going to try to reshare the screen. It has dropped off.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry, I think so the audio was bad on my side. I hope you can be able to see the Gantt chart, the screen that I'm sharing. I was using 2 devices, one for quality control, but I think my quality control device dropped off. That's why I'm struggling to know if you can hear me or not. All right, so we're looking at the Gantt, the work plan or Gantt chart. And this is supposed to inform us of where to go at what particular time. So the example before you was a simulated project by the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum. And here we were exploring how are we able to train various numbers of people on a recognition of prior learning. So the idea was broken down into various phases, such as the concept reception of a contract, the project team mobilization. We go on to phase 2, phase 3, and then all the way down. And these were broken into areas such as the project phase activities, the key project resources needed, and the timeline. So you realize that there is a coloring of sort that stretches out. If I'm to stretch this document a bit, to zoom out, oh, that's too big, small. To zoom out, you'll see that the coloring flows all the way from January or from month 1 up to month 12. Yeah. So we are not specific on which month because this is not a calendar. This is not an annual calendar program. This is more of a timeline. So whichever month we are at, it's month 1 or it's month 12. Yeah. So we go on to show you how we shall be able to execute which activities and how long they will take. So you need to create this kind of document as you plan on executing your project to inform you where you will be, at what time, and which key resources shall be needed. So this guides you in a way. Of course, for those in the project management field, you're conversant with this, that in case you're using maybe the sprint method of project management, you'll be able to separate, maybe call these your sprints, that each activity is going to be in a certain area. Or if you're using the traditional, project management, you're going to have to make sure that these items don't overlap and each is completed before the other. If you're in Agile, you could go on and say, maybe I'll have this activity here overlap and can be started before, can be started as we're getting into the next, so that we utilize time and resources efficiently. But this is the model, this is the sample of a work plan, or represented in a Gantt chart, that as project officers, project managers, project developers, we should be well conversant with and know how to create efficiently to guide how our initiatives will move. So, so as we go back to this, I'm trying to reconnect back so that I know exactly where we're at. So as we go back to our steps, okay, great. I think I have you back. So after the work plan, we go on to budgeting. This is a very critical area that I cannot say anyone can claim to exhaustively tell you all about the budgeting, because budgeting is as a tip for all project officers. You need to have an idea of your potential partner, potential funder, potential client. What is their budget range? Do not submit a budget which is in excess of 100 million shillings when you're not certain if your client or your partner or your target audience is up to that tune, or is not way above that tune. Because if you submit something which is below their estimation, it will mean that the quality of work you're going to do is substandard. Because if I assume a Mercedes-Benz is worth 50 million shillings, and someone comes to me and is selling to me at 20, huge red flag. Why are you so cheap? Why are you even more than 50% cheap? But if I know that a Toyota Vitz is around 10 million shillings, you come to me and you want to sell it to me at 25 million, I'll just walk away. I'll not ask you whether it's made of gold or it was blessed by holy water. I'll just walk away because I know you definitely am not getting value for money. So please try to do as much research from past projects, from any contacts. And this is where the point of that Rotary is very big on building your professional network. Because, for example, at my friends, the development associate linkages, with whom I do serve to create developmental impact, we try as much to make sure our network is as far and wide through collaborations, through partnerships, through bring on board every friend and associate we think is going to deliver value. So if you see a call from UNDP and they're asking you, fortunately for UNDP, they always state the budget range, that the grantee will be in line to receive between up to $40,000. So it's at your discretion to present a budget between whatever you think, but to the cap of 40,000. Well, they're not limiting you that we cannot give you more, but of course there is a budget to that initiative. So you do not have to go over it, because definitely you'll have scored yourself out of line. So budgeting, there are various formats of budgets. And in most cases, organizations attach budget templates to their call for proposals. So I want to just show you just a sample simulation budget that done before. It is something that is not so out of this world. I don't know if you can see this. On my side, it's really small, but I'll try to paint the idea. So what happens at budgeting is, ideally, the budget template should be broken down per period of time. And currently, most project calls are asking for a match to the grant. So as we budget, we need to consider what the conditions are. Yeah. In many organizations that roll out call for proposals, they ask you to match the grant with at least 20%. So that means if you're asking for a total budget of $10,000, you're going to foot the $2,000. So ideally, they will only be able to provide you $8,000. So this budget template here breaks down the project in activity description, then the month in which, oh, is someone calling me? Sorry, I'm not able to see hands. Is anyone putting up their hand? Okay, I hope we can continue. So this budget template, you look at the contents, activity description. Of course, up there, you put the heading or the description of the budget, whatever it is. Then you break it down into the period of the project according to the time given or the timeline of the project. This information is all found in the TORs of the call. Or if it's just a courtesy proposal you're submitting without being called to it, you should at least simulate a realistic time. Don't tell us you're going to build concrete tanks, 2 concrete tanks for a community, and you're going to build them in 2 years. Which kind of concrete tanks are those? You just need cement, sand, iron bars, bricks, and you can build each of these maybe 20,000 liter structure in less than 6 months. So please simulate the time, because timeline is very, very informing to the budget. The longer the timeline, the more expensive the project in most cases. So simulate a timeline that will communicate to the budget and will not disassociate the figures from the reality. So the use of the cash reward is what you put as your description on the side to show how you're going to utilize the reward or the funding from your partner or from your funder or from your audience. So here you'll break down all relevant activities, up to food, up to airtime, up to operational cash, transportation. You have to cost this per activity, per person, in case you're looking at having consultants. Because at the budgeting level, you have the internal project budget. That is your internal breakdown. How much are you going to pay this consultant, for how long? How much are you going to pay for airtime, for how long? Which cars do you need to hire? Because in most cases, right now, funders are staying away from capital intensive budgets, where you say we are going to buy so many vehicles. for a project. Well, you can hire, you have, because I mean, after the project, unless the project is 10 years or 20, you do not buy cars for a 3-year or 2-year-old project, because after that, we shall now go through the cost of auctioning, procurement. Donors and funders and partners are staying away from that whole, confusion. So you will prorate all these figures accordingly in your internal budget. Then when you come to the project budget template, you put in the figures that, first of all, will display value for money to your partner and to your donor. First of all, will display. I think someone has unmuted, and I'm getting some echo. So I'm going to mute us all. I hope that's fine. Okay, so as we design the budget, we go on to break down the costs per item, per period of time, so that we know exactly how much we're spending in a certain period of time. If there is any cash that can be left and carried over, that is a benefit to the project. And of course, according to the financial accounts that you give to the fund or the donation, or the donor at the end of the project, or in the interim review, midterm review of the budget of the project, you'll be able to declare this, because it will communicate to what's in your bank account. Just a tip off here: most projects that deposit money in large amounts and they want to see clear accountability and financial records, I would advise any project officer to always plan to open up a separate project account. This is very important, because if you have staff and taxes and NSSF to pay, and you're buying toilet paper and food, and you don't want us to have all that in our books of accounts. Here we withdrew 2,000 shillings to buy toilet paper. Here we withdrew 50,000 shillings to buy food. It would be better you have one single account for the project that shows outflows of the money and the purpose, and then the communicating documents, the accountabilities that will come, such as receipts, attendance sheets, mileage logs, fuel receipts, all those. So it will be easier for you to report on your budget when you have a separate account, because when you say we budgeted for 500,000, let me say we budgeted for health and safety and COVID-19 mitigations, perhaps a total of 5 million, and you withdraw all that at once, you don't have to go on breaking down the expenses. You just have to bring the accountability documents, such as receipts where you bought masks, receipts where you bought jerry cans of liquid soap and washing and hand washing material. So that is a critical point which many entities get wrong, and then they end up saying this funder is having their hands in our accounts. They want to see where we bought, they want to see the taxes we pay. They actually don't, but you brought it to yourself. You mixed up the two transactions. So as we try to speedily wind up, we go back to our steps. Compliance. Sorry about that. Please, as you join, I would request that you mute. Thank you very much. We're down to compliance and regulatory check. Funders and donors have various regulatory requirements that they will require each one of us who is seeking for support to adhere to. I'm trying to find a document that was an annex I want to show you. So I'm going to share this with you. It's just a brief questionnaire that will ask about the compliance of the organization. So this is just a check. So guiding questions. This is what the people who are evaluating your proposal are going to be looking at. So they'll go through all your documents, go through what you've submitted, then start asking, is the organization formally registered? Is it? If yes, when was it registered? What is the form of partner organization registration? Is it a CBO? Is it a non-for-profit? Is it an NGO? Then overall capacity. Does the organization have successful track record working with other organizations? This is where you bring out reference letters and recommendations from different partners and donors you've had before. Are there clear responsibilities for the partners, members, and staff? This is where you have to bring out people's contracts, people's JDs. Do they all have JDs, and do they have them signed? Does everyone have an ID? Does everyone at the organization have proper records of when they have attended and when they have not? Do you have a staff attendance log? Proper recording processes. Are there weekly meetings? Do you have proper records of when you meet and the minutes of these meetings? Are the meetings approved and signed off by the head of the organization? Is there evidence of regular staff meetings? Is there a functioning office, adequate telephone and email facilities, if at all they are required? In financial management, does the organization have current annual accounts? Have you been audited before? Are there documented financial procedures? Clearly, do you have a financial manual? Do you have a financial policy? Do you have a fraud control policy? So, do your procedures for an adequate level of control? Does the organization have financial records, including a cash book, a bank book, files of purchasing documents? Because these are the things that are going to bring trouble when you're doing accountabilities. You cannot you cannot do accountability where you've not been able to develop the process before. Human resources. Does organization have a sufficient staff to meet the responsibilities? Is there an open and participative working environment? And also, there are quite a number of things to look at. There are very many organizations which will require you to have your proposal or concept put together in a thematic informing language. For example, if you're writing a proposal about children, about women, about developing girl children, you have to put gender sensitivity issues, gender risk evaluation, gender mainstreaming matrix. You have to have those in place. I'm afraid our time is very fast spent, but I'll try to look at the next area very fast and we move on. So as we go on, I wanted to go through one of the most important areas is your layout of the proposal. So I've borrowed this layout from the specimen from the United Nations Development Program. This was for the call for proposals that I just took as a sample. So they are showing you the different areas that you're going to write. This is ideally how your proposal should be formatted, from section 1, section 2, all the way. So you have to have a brief description of the proposal as an entity. You have to present your financial capacity. You could have this as an annex, maybe our records or financial records for the past 3 years. You need to have a summary of your key personnel. This is a table where you put names, qualification, years of experience in there. All those consultants or staff, the key staff that will be involved in the project, you need to put them there to show exactly what capacity do you have to handle this project. You have to put the summary of the management structure. Management structure may not be so complex. You can do from top down or an aligned structure where you have the CEO at the top of the executive director or the MD, down to the project manager, to project officers, and then to the logistics assistants in the project or in the organization. A track record of the experience, having received similar type of funding, and we need to find another session sometime to now understand how to write our organizational profiles. How do you create an organization profile? How do you showcase what you've done before in the format of organization, rather project name, funder, amount of the project, and then project deliverables. What did you deliver? So you tabulate that information in a way that you can easily retrieve and display in any document that you're submitting to a potential partner. It's more of asking you for a job experience, for rather work experience at a job interview. So everyone wants to know they are working with someone who's experienced. Then we go on to section 2, the challenge and solution statement. So state your problem challenge that will be addressed. We talked about this earlier. Idea solution to address the problem, clearly outlining elements of innovation. How are you going to solve the problem and how unique or innovative is your idea? The current business model, because organizations are now not just aiming at solving a problem without a sustainable going forward. So how are you going to make sure this idea is sustainable? How is it going to proceed 5 years after the grant money has been first spent? How are you going to continue? Or you need to look for another funding. So we need to create a business case in there. If you're going to create trainees that are going to produce art pieces, how are you going to sustain their business? How are they going to be able to pay for the rent of the areas you've opened up? How are they going to expand marketing? You need to have ideas on how this idea will be continued forward. Then you're going to look at the constraints to that business model. What are the challenges? What are your assumptions? What are the risks involved? So these ones you can tabulate in a way that challenge or risk, probability of happening, then level of impact, whether it's high or medium or low. We shall have to engage in another session on risk assessment and risk management. Then you look at the mitigation measures. So in that table, you have the risk, the probability of happening, the impact if it happens, and then the mitigation measures that you are already doing and those that you plan on putting in place. Then we go on to the explanation why and where the Innovation Challenge Award or the funding, the funders' money will be needed. Why is it needed to scale up the solution? Why can't you work with it? Already without it, why do you need this money or this support? Then we go to the impact on the suggested population. So given this was a direct extract, they were looking at impacting the poor communities by the suggested solution. So how is it going to impact them? Then how is it going to catalyze the development of the industry of the suggested solution? In case you're trying to suggest something in the road safety sector, how is it going to enable this sector grow? How are you going to impact this industry? If you're responding to the creatives call earlier of UNDP, how are you going to make sure this solution you're suggesting is actually going to grow the creative sector? Are you going to open up an exhibition hall? Are you going to train designers? Are you going to open up markets in the whole of Africa? How is it going to create a disruption in that industry? Then the potential for replication. You shouldn't do a one-off. Your project shouldn't be focused on a one-off. Let me do this. No. How is it going to be scaled up? If you're going to, I'll focus more on capacity building, human capital development, because that's one of my areas of expertise. If you're going to train, for example, drivers, how are you going to create a ripple effect? Are you going to go regional, nationwide? Are you going to diversify into other sizes of vehicles of drivers? How are you going to scale up these ideas? Scaling up means impacting more, creating more change, impacting more businesses positively all over. Then you look at the implementation approach and methodology. Approach and methodology for implementation of the idea of the solution. Implementation timeline, that is the Gantt chart we talked about. The approach and methodology, here you're going to break down how you are going to do, and a log frame would be very useful here because you're going to show them the how, the objective, the targets, the means of verification, and forgotten the last row. I'm going to go through this as fast as we can so that we can have all the value delivered. Then we have to go through the implementation budget. We went through this. The own contribution stated here is because many funders or partners right now require you to have your own contribution, as we have talked about this. Monitoring and reporting, how are you going to, you need to create a reporting matrix. How are you going to report? To whom are you going to report? Who is going to generate that report? and what are the sources of the information that's going to go into that report. Then, of course, we shall go into the anti-corruption strategy. This can come as part of the risk matrix, where you look at how are you going to avoid corruption, how are you going to control finances, how are you going to make sure there's dual controls of processes in the financial department. Then, of course, the annexes are everything else that you would like to have on the document that is not requested formally, but you feel it is relevant to have. And please create a very orderly annex where you keep naming the documents, because I believe most of these are submitted via email. Given to the COVID conditions right now, SOPs require that paper contact is limited. So these are mostly submitted through email. So name your documents, Annex 1, Annex 2, 3, 4, 5, until you exhaust all the documents, and state the exact way. Annex 1 is a tax certification. Annex 2 is our registration certificate. Annex 3, like that, so that the evaluation team is not confused on which document is named where. So, unfortunately, we have very many things to cover, but we haven't yet been able to go through them all. We covered the logical framework. So I'll just do a few. I say 10 points, but I don't think it's going to be 10. For all project proposal developers, consultants, and officers, take time to study your target partner. You need to make sure you're solving a real problem, because no one would appreciate spending money on something that is a wild goose chase. Adopt the thematic language of the field of interest. If you're going to write to the oil and gas sector proposing something, you need to take consideration of the national content regulation, because it's a very huge area. You need to take consideration health and safety standards, ISO standards. So you need to write with clarity and precision. The bulk of your project proposal does not score you. So if you have 5 pages and that is all, and it's able to communicate clearly, that is enough. Not because you're submitting a proposal of 30 pages, you'll assume that it will earn you more marks or more scores. Have a clear measurable impact. Try not to make your measurables vague. Make sure they're very clear. If it's numbers, state them. If it is a certain status of the economy or of a community, state it. If it's measurements in terms of hectares of land or trees planted, please state them. Promise value for money. We talked about this. Don't sell something worth 20,000 and you budget it for 100,000. It will be way off the limit. Then definitely paint a vivid picture of the impact. Show us vividly how we are going to go through all this. So we can connect on LinkedIn. You can find more details about me. You can join the Rotaract Club of Seeta. But in brief, I work with the Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum, and I do support business development and public relations. In there, I encompass national content and promotion of Ugandans' participation in the oil and gas sector. I am ISO certified as an awareness trainer and, of course, an implementer. I'm working to get my auditor's certification. Hopefully, God blesses, by 2022, I should be a certified ISO auditor. I'm a certified OPITO IMIST health and safety and environmental management invigilator. I do train and invigilate. OPITO is the, let's say IMIST is the industry minimum safety training for the oil and gas sector, and OPITO is the issuing organization for safety trainings in the oil and gas sector. I do human capital development. I'm a trainer and I do career guidance. And I'm working on my project management professional certification, the PMP, so that I can deliver more quality project trainings and quality project deliverables. So given that I'm here with my club members, we're the Rotaract Club of Seeta, the CEOs. We fellowship every Monday, 7 p.m. Please look out for our fellowship to join us and have value through all this that information that we share. You can tweet at us at our Twitter handle, Rotaract Seeta, the CEOs. We shall be glad to engage with you. we just have a few minutes left, less than 10. I would welcome any questions, Q&As, so that we can know what we have left. Yes. Please, anyone, you can go ahead, put up your hand or unmute, and let's talk. Yes. I can see the chat. Quite a number of reactions there. And we appreciate that you've been able to make it to this session. My president, Ivan, I don't know if you have something to say to us, or we can run through the day. I see from Fiona, very wonderful presentation. Thank you, admin. I see from Ivan, it's a thanks. I see from Dr. Henry Clark, thank you very much for being in. We need a critical analytical.
Martin, for the presentation.
Yes, Dr. Henry.
Very insightful and very key pointers there. And I had put in the chat that that I think there is need for certain skills like analytical skills, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, yes, the whole process flow, think line, and storytelling, but also linking dots, having a component of results chain, measurement of impact, and theory of change, amongst others. So, of course, from the presentation, I'm already thinking through this. So what's your take on building a proposal team to enhance these skill sets? Because these are important to have, to bring all what you have shared on the table. Yes. So what does it take? Can one person come up with a proposal like this, or a team would suffice to enhance all these skills? That was one of my areas. Then the second highlight was, is it possible through the Honorable President that we could have maybe another session where we process this information, and then maybe in the next session we can be more participatory, like with the key questions to ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Henry. Dr. Henry, for everyone on the call, is our country lead and managing partner at Development Associate Links. It's a group of development consultants, project management, feasibility studies, and entirely financial literacy, business development, quite a number of things there. And we are very happy to have you on the call. I wear a number of hats, so I'm glad to see all my associates come together. So I think, Doctor, it's very practical that we have another session lined up in that line. And I think we shall be able to organize through the president. I think Ivan shall need to come up with something, and Dr. Henry shall keep you informed of this. About what you asked, whether a team or an individual could go on to build a proposal. I would recommend that when there is an idea to build, unless someone is an already well-developed professional in the project proposal development and project management, that's when you can take it all by yourself, and if you have ample time. But I would still recommend any organization would need to, enlist the services of a consultant to take this on, to guide you properly, because consultants don't just come to take your money, but they come with a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of networks. You never know, the consultant you're talking to might not reveal to you right away that actually at some point I may be selected to be at the review panel. But because most of the review panels are selected after submissions have been made. So you need to look out for the wealth of knowledge, networks, and information that is held with consultants, and engage one. I've had a chance to engage with a number of the consultant teams and the consultant world at Development Associate Links, and through the private sector foundation projects, There's a gentleman that I've worked with before on the SDF projects who really recommended this to me, and I think it's very, very key that we take a look at it. So I believe it's necessary to enlist the services of a consultant in developing proposals. Ivan, you have your hand up, Mr. President. You can go on, sir.
Oh, thank you, Martin. Martin, we're so glad for this session. Thank you for everything. Unfortunately, our project director has not been around. I'll link up this information with him. I've been trying to record the information, but we are so glad and we're so happy for this. And we are going to improve on our projects because we have so many projects we're planning to implement this Rotary year. We are so glad, and I think we shall get in any other session. We shall always be glad, like, to bring any presentation. I'm so happy, and also for the entire club.
Thank you very much, Ivan. I will be able to share the recording of the session, and we shall be able to go through together as a club. Ladies and gentlemen on the call, we have first spent our time. I don't want to hold you here any longer. We shall be organizing the Rotaract Club of Seeta, another session that's going to be focused on learning about all the digital working communication tools that we encompass every day. We hear problems of Zoom. You're on mute. Please unmute yourself. Make me host. Let me share my screen, and we suffer with those things. We're organizing a session on that, encompassing all the famous communication tools: Zoom, Teams, Blue Jeans, Google Meet, at least the basic. Thank you very much. You can always share all your ideas through the chat session. Please be reminded, don't work too hard. It's a weekend, so we need to go and rest a little bit. I thank you very much for going through and being able to participate.
It's a weekend, rotating, so baby reset, jagala mind to refresh, Baby girl, kende zamanyi, ojja kumenya omutima. Eyo supidi nyingi gy'onvuga, bigambo bingi bw'obisengeka, eno wiki y'amakungula. Eyo supidi gy'oliko, nange vibe gye ndimu, ongwira ontomese mu mukwano.
Give me your heart, don't go stigati. You go back, don't know when you jubilate. I want your heart, so we want baby. Baby boy, don't you delay. Yango kuwe no more sweaty. Yakalangula geva magic. Then you marry your child, you can relate. 20 to party, 20 to party, 20 to party, 20 to party. Twende tunyumire tugende tunyumire tugende tunyumire njagala nkukakase nti olwaleero so steady era nakubulire ti byonna leero so steady obitaddemu ansati kwagala musinkazi ebyo by'omanyi neddati. Twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tupate, twende tunyumire tugende tunyumire tugende tunyumire tugende tunyumire njagala okakase
kibiina na buli mwana ekimudaaza yetayinza kigwa yeresa disco nasula mukuli bayizinga yasoma bulungi ne bamutikkira ne yesunga okukola naye omulimu gwabula byonna teyagenda okukusaba era diguli ye yamusala ennaku neruma kati yafuuka toilet attendant mu kikuuwo mwajaza sasula bamubanja n'akazigo mwasula ekimunyiiza agaali agasiru mu kibiina galina emirimu gavuga mpya mwana wa gondi yajuna omubuuza agamba